Do you know who I am? He asked, pinning me with those dangerous eyes. I didn't. Not when I accepted his drink at Eclipse nightclub. Not when I followed him to his penthouse. Not when I slipped out at dawn thinking it was just a beautiful mistake. But 3 days later, when he found me, I learned the truth. He's the younger brother of Seoul's most powerful crime lord. And he just declared war on his own family. For me. If you believe women should chase their dreams without being questioned about their relationship status, hit that subscribe button for Ebony and Pearl stories. Only people who think women exist just to find a man won't subscribe. The bass thundered through Eclipse nightclub so hard I felt it in my chest. Seoul's elite swirled around me in designer labels and dangerous smiles, and somewhere between the champagne and the celebration, I stopped being careful. Nancy! Nancy! My client grabbed my arm, nearly spilling Dom Perignon on my dress. Our fashion queen! Your styling saved our entire fall collection. I laughed, raising my glass to the crowd of executives and socialites who suddenly knew my name. The VIP section of Eclipse was exactly what you'd expect from Gangnam's most exclusive club. Crystal chandeliers casting prismatic light across black marble floors, bottle service that cost more than most people's monthly rent, and Seoul's powerful playing games I didn't understand yet. So Nancy, my client's wife, leaned in with champagne-glossed lips. A woman as stunning as you, traveling alone to Seoul. Surely there's someone special waiting back in London. I felt my practiced smile tighten. 27 years old, building an empire one outfit at a time, and still fielding questions about why I wasn't settling down. Actually, I should probably... That's when I saw him. He stood across the VIP section like a predator who just spotted prey. Sharp jawline that could cut glass, perfectly styled dark hair with subtle highlights catching the club lights, and a patterned silk shirt that screamed old money and new danger. But it was his eyes that stopped my heart. Dark, intense, and locked onto me like I was the only person in the room. Our gazes collided, and I swear the music faded for just a second. Heat rushed through my body in a way that had nothing to do with the crowded club. This man wasn't just handsome. He was devastating in a way that made smart women make stupid decisions. He moved through the crowd with fluid confidence, and I noticed how people parted for him, how security guards straightened when he passed, how whispers followed in his wake. "You look like you're planning to run away," he said in flawless English, the Korean accent wrapping around each word like expensive silk. Up close, he was even more dangerous, tall enough that I had to tilt my head slightly, close enough that I caught his cologne, something dark and woody that probably cost more than my flight here. "Maybe I like running," I managed, trying to sound more confident than I felt. His smile was pure sin. "Then let me chase you. I'm Taehyun." He extended his hand, and when I took it, electricity shot up my arm. "And you're the most beautiful woman in Seoul tonight. Nancy." My voice came out breathier than intended. And that's a bold claim in a room full of beautiful people. I'm not looking at anyone else. The directness in his eyes made my stomach flip. "You're different. American. British, actually. London." Something shifted in his expression. Interest deepening into something more complex. "I studied in London. Business degree I never use." "What brings you to Seoul?" "Work. Fashion, styling." "Let me guess. You're the one who made Park Ji-won's collection look like art instead of desperation." When my eyes widened, he laughed. "Word travels fast in certain circles. Come." He gestured toward the balcony. "It's too loud in here to properly get to know each other." Every warning bell in my head screamed that this was a terrible idea, but my body was already moving toward him, drawn by something I couldn't name and wasn't sure I wanted to resist. The balcony overlooked Seoul's glittering skyline. Namsan Tower lit up in the distance, the Han River a ribbon of reflected light cutting through the city. The night air was cool against my overheated skin, and suddenly I could breathe again. "Better," Taehyun said, standing close enough that our shoulders almost touched. "Now I can hear you think." That's a dangerous talent. I'm good at reading people. You, for instance, you're celebrating something big, but you're uncomfortable with all the attention. You'd rather be behind the scenes, making other people shine. I turned to face him fully, unsettled by his accuracy. And what else do you see? His gaze traveled over my face with an intensity that felt almost physical. Someone who works too hard. Someone who's always proving something. Someone who's forgotten how to just feel. That's a lot to assume from 5 minutes of conversation. Am I wrong? I should have lied, should have laughed it off and gone back inside. Instead, I found myself saying, no, you're not wrong. We talked for what felt like hours, but was probably only 30 minutes. He was surprisingly easy to talk to. Funny, intelligent, with observations about art and culture that revealed depth beneath the expensive exterior. But he was also maddeningly vague about himself. When I asked about his work, he deflected. When I mentioned his family, his jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. You're mysterious, I said, watching him carefully. And you're direct. I like that. His fingers brushed mine on the balcony railing, and heat sparked between us. Most people in my life are afraid to be honest. Why would they be afraid? Something dark flickered across his face. Family expectations. You understand that, don't you? The weight of other people's plans for your life. I did. God, I did. We talked about the pressure to conform, to meet expectations, to fit into boxes other people built. And somewhere in that conversation, the space between us disappeared. His hand found the small of my back. My fingers traced the expensive fabric of his sleeve. The air grew thick with possibility. Come with me, he said suddenly, voice rough. Let me show you real soul. Not this, he gestured at the club behind us, but something real. Where? My place. I have a view that makes this look like nothing. His thumb traced circles on my back, and I felt that touch everywhere. Unless you're the type who plays it safe? I should have been. I'd built my entire career on calculated risks, careful planning, strategic decisions. But standing there with souls spread out beneath us and this beautiful, dangerous man looking at me like I was something precious, I didn't want to be careful. Show me, I whispered. The penthouse was a dream, suspended above the Han River. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed Seoul in all its glittering glory. Modern minimalism mixed with traditional Korean art that probably cost more than everything I owned. But I barely registered the decor because Tae-hyun was looking at me like I was the only thing worth seeing. Wine, he offered, but neither of us moved toward the bottle. The tension between us was unbearable now, a living thing that demanded acknowledgement. When he stepped closer, I didn't back away. When his hand cupped my face, I leaned into the touch. Tell me to stop, he murmured, lips inches from mine. Don't you dare. The kiss ignited something desperate in both of us. His hands tangled in my hair, my fingers clutched his shirt, and suddenly we were stumbling toward the bedroom, leaving a trail of expensive clothing behind us. Every touch felt electric, essential. He whispered in Korean, words I didn't understand but felt in my soul, and I responded in a language older than words. The night dissolved into heat and connection, pleasure so intense it bordered on pain, and a tenderness that terrified me more than the passion. This wasn't just sex. It was something deeper, more dangerous, something that made me forget every rule I'd ever made about staying in control. When it was over, we lay tangled in sheets that probably cost more than my rent, his heartbeat steady against my ear, Seoul's lights painting patterns on the ceiling. Stay, he murmured, already half asleep. Don't run from this. But as dawn painted the Han River gold, I watched him sleep, really looked at him for the first time without desire clouding my vision. His face was softer now, almost vulnerable. But I saw other things too, the edge of an elaborate tattoo peeking from his shoulder, expensive watch on the nightstand still ticking, the way even unconscious his jaw carried tension like armor. This was a beautiful mistake, a perfect memory. Nothing more could come from a man like this. Clearly wealthy, probably dangerous, definitely out of my league. I dressed quietly, gathered my things, and slipped out while the city was still waking up. Behind me, Tae-hyun's eyes snapped open the moment the door closed. His expression shifted, soft vulnerability hardening into something darker, more determined, almost obsessive. He reached for his phone, already making calls, already planning. If she thought she could just walk away, she had no idea who she was dealing with, or how far he'd go to make her his. Subscribe to Ebony and Pearl Stories and comment what time you're watching this if you can't stand men who think women are possessions they can control. Only toxic people who support obsession won't engage. 3 days had passed since I'd walked out of that penthouse, and I still couldn't focus on anything but him. Nancy, are you even listening? My client's voice pulled me back to the fabric samples spread across my hotel suite. The emerald or the sapphire for the evening collection? Emerald, I said automatically, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying the way Taehyun's hands had felt against my skin, the Korean words he'd whispered, the intensity in his eyes. This was ridiculous. I'd built my career on discipline and focus, not fantasizing about one-night stands with mysterious strangers. My phone buzzed. Kate, my best friend from London. Finally, her voice exploded through the speaker. I've been trying to reach you for days. How's Seoul? Amazing. The contract's going perfectly, I said, forcing brightness into my tone. And any hot Korean drama moments? You know, billionaire heirs, accidental romances, dramatic reveals. I laughed, but it came out strained. Kate, this is real life, not a K-drama. That's not a no. Her voice sharpened with interest. Oh my God, Nancy Claire, what did you do? Nothing. Just, there was this guy at a club, but it was nothing. One night and I left. End of story. You're a terrible liar. But fine, keep your secrets. Just be careful, yeah? Seoul's a big city, and you don't know anyone there. If only she knew how much I wished that were still true. After we hung up, I tried to lose myself in work. Mood boards, fabric swatches, sketches for the spring line. But every time I looked at the Seoul skyline through my hotel window, I remembered that view from his penthouse, and my concentration shattered. A sharp knock on my door made me jump. Room service. I called, confused. I hadn't ordered anything. No answer. Just another knock, more insistent this time. I checked the peephole and my heart stopped. Taehyun stood in the hallway, but he looked nothing like the polished man from the club. His hair was disheveled, designer clothes rumpled like he'd slept in them, and his eyes, God, his eyes burned with an intensity that made my breath catch. I opened the door on instinct and immediately regretted it. Did you think you could just disappear? His voice was rough, raw with something between anger and desperation. How did you find me? My hand tightened on the doorframe. Taehyun, this is... Don't. He stepped closer, and I caught the faint scent of whiskey mixed with his cologne. Don't tell me it was nothing. Don't tell me you haven't been thinking about it every second since you left. My pulse hammered. I should be terrified, should slam the door in his face and call security. But instead, I felt a traitorous thrill run through me. He'd come for me. He'd found me in a city of 10 million people. You can't just show up at my hotel room. This is crazy. I know. He ran his hand through his hair, and I saw his fingers tremble slightly. I know it's crazy. I haven't slept. Can't eat. Can't think about anything but you. Do you understand what that means for someone like me? Someone like you? He pushed past me into the room, not aggressive, but desperate, like a drowning man grasping for air. I should have stopped him, but my body had different ideas about what constituted danger. I need to tell you the truth, he said, turning to face me. That night, I wasn't just some guy at a club. My family. Nancy, my brother, runs one of Seoul's most powerful crime organizations. I've spent my entire life being controlled, suffocated, told who to be and what to do and who I'm allowed to feel anything for. The room tilted slightly. You're in the Mafia. My brother is. I'm his prisoner with a trust fund. The vulnerability in his voice cracked something open in my chest. Until you looked at me like I was just a man, not a weapon, not a pawn, not a disappointment, just me. Taehyun, listen to yourself. This is obsession, not. You made me remember what freedom tastes like. He closed the distance between us, and I could feel the heat radiating off his body. 3 days. I've tried to forget you. Tried to convince myself it was just physical. But Nancy, I can't let you go. I won't. My back hit the wall, but I wasn't afraid. I was terrified of something else entirely. The way my body responded to him. The way my heart raced when he said my name like a prayer. This was supposed to be one night, I whispered, trying to hold on to logic even as it slipped away. Not for me. Never for me. His hand came up to cut my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. Come with me today. Let me show you who I really am. Then decide if you want to run. Every rational part of my brain screamed to refuse. But there was something in his eyes, genuine pain mixed with desperate hope, that made me hesitate. One day, I heard myself say, then I'm going back to my life, and you're going back to yours. The smile that crossed his face was heartbreaking in its relief. The traditional tea house was hidden down a narrow alley in Insadong, worlds away from the glittering clubs and modern high-rises. Mrs. Park, the elderly owner, greeted Taehyun with obvious affection, then studied me with sharp eyes that saw too much. She different from others, Mrs. Park said in broken English, setting delicate cups before us. You different with her. As we sipped tea, Taehyun talked, really talked, about growing up in his brother's shadow, expectations that crushed him, the feeling of being ornamental, decorative but useless. I found myself sharing too, the pressure to settle down, to be grateful for whatever man chose me, to make myself smaller so others felt bigger. We're both running from cages, I said softly. Maybe we could run together, he replied, fingers finding mine across the table. Mrs. Park cleared her throat, fixing me with a knowing look. That boy have shadow behind him. Big shadow. You be careful, pretty girl. I should have listened. Should have paid attention to the warning in her weathered eyes. Instead, when Taehyun asked to see me again, I said yes. Subscribe if you believe love shouldn't mean losing your freedom. Comment, I choose myself, if you know sometimes the most dangerous prison is the one that feels like paradise. Only people who think women should sacrifice everything for a man won't engage. I should have known Mrs. Park's warning would come true faster than I expected. The next afternoon, I returned to my hotel after a fitting session to find 2 men in dark suits standing in the lobby. They weren't hotel security. Everything about them screamed danger, from their earpieces to the way their jackets hung heavy on one side. The moment I stepped through the doors, their eyes locked onto me. Miss Claire. The taller one approached with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mr. Lee would like to speak with you. My stomach dropped. Taehyun. His brother. The words hit like ice water. I don't know what you're talking about. Please, miss. His hand gestured toward the exit, polite but firm, the kind of courtesy that's really a threat. Mr. Lee doesn't like to be kept waiting. The black sedan outside had tinted windows and leather seats that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. I tried to text Taehyun, but the shorter man gently took my phone. You'll get it back, he promised. We drove through Seoul's business district, towers of steel and glass reflecting the afternoon sun. The car pulled into an underground garage beneath a building that screamed corporate power. Armed security nodded as we passed, not police, something else entirely. The elevator climbed in silence. My heart hammered against my ribs. The office we entered was everything Taehyun's penthouse wasn't. Cold, minimal, designed to intimidate. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul like a kingdom under surveillance. Behind a massive desk sat a man who looked like Taehyun's ghost from a darker timeline. Minho Lee rose as I entered, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. He was taller than Taehyun, broader in the shoulders, with the same sharp features but none of the warmth. His suit was perfectly tailored, charcoal gray that matched his eyes, calculating, cold, assessing me like a threat that needed eliminating. Miss Claire. His English was flawless, accent even more refined than his brother's. Thank you for coming. I didn't have much choice. A slight smile touched his lips, approval for my directness, maybe or amusement at my defiance. Please sit. I remained standing. What do you want? Minho walked around his desk with predatory grace, each step measured and deliberate. My brother has become distracted. Do you know what happens when someone in Taehyun's position loses focus? I don't know what position that is. Convenient ignorance. He stopped a few feet away, hands in his pockets, casual but somehow more threatening for it. Let me be clear, Miss Claire. My family has obligations. Taehyun has responsibilities that require complete dedication. You are a complication we don't need. Anger flared through my fear. I'm a person, not a complication. Semantics. He moved to his desk, pulled out a checkbook. Name your price. Leave Korea today. Never contact my brother again, and you'll be compensated generously for your time. The dismissal in his voice ignited something fierce in my chest. Every time someone had underestimated me, every time I'd been reduced to a transaction, a problem to be solved with money, it all came rushing back. I'm not for sale. Minho's pen paused midair. Everyone has a price. Then you don't know everyone. I stepped closer, matching his intimidation with my own fury. Your brother is a grown man. If he wants to see me, that's his choice. His choice. Minho's laugh was devoid of humor. Taehyun hasn't made a real choice in his life. He's a dreamer, Miss Claire. Impulsive. Emotional. Exactly the kind of man who destroys everything chasing a fantasy. Or maybe you've controlled him so long, you can't recognize freedom when you see it. The temperature in the room plummeted. Minho's eyes went flat, dangerous. Everything you've built, your career, your reputation, your little fashion empire, could disappear with one phone call. Clients who suddenly don't return calls. Contracts that mysteriously fall through. Visas that get revoked. My hands trembled, but I kept my voice steady. Is that a threat? It's a reality check. He closed the checkbook and I saw something flicker across his face. Respect, maybe, for my refusal to bend. You're brave. Stupid, but brave. I'll give you 24 hours to reconsider. I don't need 24 seconds. My answer is... The office doors exploded open. Taehyun burst in like a storm given human form, eyes wild, hair disheveled. Fury radiating from every line of his body. Get away from her. Taehyun. Minho's voice carried disappointed authority, like a parent catching a child misbehaving. How did you? You think I wouldn't know when you mobilize your men? Taehyun moved between us, and I saw the family resemblance in his rage, same sharp intensity, but burning hot where Minho ran cold. You think I wouldn't track her? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Minho's calm never cracked. Look at yourself, obsessed with a woman you barely know, ready to tear down everything for the first real thing in my life. Taehyun's voice cracked. I'm done, Hyung. Done being your puppet. Done pretending I don't exist except when you need me to. You exist because of me. Everything you have is a cage. The pain in Taehyun's voice made my chest ache. You've controlled every aspect of my life since I was 16. Who I see, where I go, what I'm allowed to want. Not anymore. Minho's expression finally shifted. Something dangerous sliding beneath his composed surface. You'd throw away your family? Your legacy? For her. She's not just a woman. Taehyun's hand found mine, grip almost desperate. She's the first person who sees me. Not your brother. Not the spare heir. Not a piece on your chessboard. Me. The brothers stared at each other, years of resentment crackling between them like lightning looking for ground. I saw Minho's hand move slightly, and suddenly guards appeared in the doorway. For men, armed, ready. For a terrifying moment, I thought they'd actually fight. Taehyun's body coiled like a spring, and I realized I'd never truly seen the dangerous side Mrs. Park warned about. This wasn't the charming stranger or the vulnerable man confessing his feelings. This was someone who'd grown up in violence, who knew how to hurt people. Enough. Minho's single word stopped everything. His eyes never left Taehyun's face. You want freedom? Prove you deserve it. What? One job. One final obligation to this family. Minho's smile was cold calculation. Complete it successfully, and I'll let you go. You and your distraction can have whatever fairy tale you're chasing. What kind of job? I asked, though dread already pooled in my stomach. Minho ignored me entirely, speaking only to his brother. You have 48 hours to decide. Walk away now and you're out. No money, no protection, no family. Or prove your loyalty one last time and earn your freedom. The trap was obvious, but Taehyun's eyes lit with desperate hope. Done, he said, and I knew, with terrible certainty, that we just made a deal with the devil himself. Subscribe if you know family loyalty shouldn't mean losing yourself. Comment control isn't love. If you believe real family supports your freedom, not chains you. Only people who think control equals care won't engage. The safe house was nothing like Taehyun's penthouse. Bare concrete walls, minimal furniture, the kind of place designed to be forgotten. He paced like a caged animal while I sat on the worn couch, trying to process what had just happened. Tell me about this job, I said quietly. Taehyun stopped pacing, ran both hands through his hair. Documents. A rival organization stole records that could expose my brother's operations. I need to retrieve them. That doesn't sound so impossible. His laugh was bitter. They're being held in a fortified location in Itaewon. 6 armed guards, minimum, probably more. Security systems designed by people who know exactly what Minho's capabilities are. He turned to face me, and the defeat in his eyes made my chest ache. It's a suicide mission, Nancy. He designed it to fail. Then don't do it. I stood, crossing to him. Walk away. We'll leave Korea together tonight. With what money? What protection? His hands gripped my shoulders, not rough, but desperate. Minho controls everything. Even if we ran, he'd find us. This is the only way we can be together. I complete this job, prove my loyalty one last time, and we're free. Or you die trying, and he never has to worry about you again. The truth hung between us like a blade. Nancy, I have to try. His voice cracked. You're the first thing I've ever wanted for myself. The first choice that's been mine. I can't just give that up. Even if that choice kills you. I searched his face, seeing the obsession burning there, wondering if Mrs. Park was right, if what we had was love or just his desperate addiction to the idea of freedom. Taehyun, listen to yourself. This isn't about us. This is about you trying to escape a cage by running into another one. Before he could respond, someone knocked. A young man entered, handsome, cautious, carrying himself like someone who'd seen too much violence. Ji-woo, Taehyun said. This is Nancy. Nancy, my oldest friend. Ji-woo studied me with sharp eyes, then spoke to Taehyun in rapid Korean. Whatever he said made Taehyun's jaw tighten. He's right, Taehyun finally said. You should go back to your hotel. I need to prepare. As Taehyun stepped out to take a phone call, Ji-woo moved closer. Miss Claire, may I speak honestly? Please. I've known Taehyun since we were children. I've seen him with many women. Some he liked, some arranged by his brother. But I've never seen him like this. Ji-woo's expression was troubled. He's not thinking clearly. This obsession with you, it's consuming him, making him reckless. I didn't ask for this. I know, but he's going to get himself killed trying to keep you. Ji-woo glanced toward the door. If you care about him at all, you'll leave Korea before he does something there's no coming back from. I couldn't just accept it. That night, I returned to Mrs. Park's tea house. The elderly woman looked unsurprised to see me. You come for answers. Tell me about the Lee family, about Taehyun. Mrs. Park poured tea with steady hands. That boy born into shadow. Big brother, very powerful, very cruel. Used Taehyun like pretty bird in cage. Show to guests, but never let fly. Has he tried to leave before? Something dark passed over her face. Once, many years ago, brother arranged marriage for him. Good family, powerful connections. But girl, she fall in love with Taehyun for real. Want to run away together. My blood went cold. What happened to her? She disappear. Family say she go abroad, but Mrs. Park shook her head. Minho not let go of what he own. He eliminate threat, keep Tae-hyun in place. The tea turned to acid in my stomach. Even if Tae-hyun completed this impossible job, Minho would never truly set him free. The pattern was clear. Anyone who threatened his control over his brother simply vanished. My phone buzzed. Kate, Nancy, I've been worried sick. You sound different in your messages. What's really going on? I found myself telling her everything. The nightclub, Tae-hyun, his brother, the impossible situation spiraling out of control. Come home, Kate said firmly. Tonight. He's not your responsibility. I know. But you're not coming home, are you? Her voice softened with understanding. Oh, Nancy, you've fallen for him. Had I? Or was I caught in the same obsession that had him chasing a fantasy of freedom? The line between love and addiction blurred like Seoul's lights through rain. I don't know what this is, I admitted, but I can't watch him die for it. Tae-hyun came to my hotel that night, and without words, we both knew this might be the last time. Back in his penthouse, where it all started, Seoul glittered beneath us like a city of broken promises. The view that had enchanted me that first night now felt like a beautiful lie. I know I'm obsessed with you, Tae-hyun said, voice raw with honesty. I know it's not healthy, that I'm probably just using you as an escape fantasy. But Nancy, I've never felt more alive than when I'm with you. I traced the tattoo on his shoulder, an intricate dragon, coiled and powerful. Your brother. The family, everything that's controlled me. His hand covered mine, moving it to the phoenix on his other shoulder. And this, my desire for rebirth. To burn down everything I've been and rise as someone new. This isn't freedom, Tae-hyun. Tears burned my eyes. We're both trapped. You by your brother's control. Me by these feelings I can't stop having for you. Then let's be trapped together. We made love like drowning people, gasping for air. Desperate, tender, heartbreaking. Every touch felt like goodbye. Every whispered word a prayer to gods who'd stopped listening. I memorized the planes of his body, the taste of his skin, the way he said my name like it was the only word that mattered. Afterward, he fell asleep with his head on my chest, and I stayed awake, watching Seoul's lights blur through my tears. His phone glowed on the nightstand. I shouldn't look, shouldn't invade his privacy, but I needed to know what I was really dealing with. The messages revealed everything. Location details, security patterns, Minho's final instructions. And buried in the thread, something that made my heart stop, make sure Jiwoo has the life insurance papers ready. If anything happens, the family is covered. Minho was planning for Tae-hyun to die. This wasn't a test of loyalty. It was an execution disguised as opportunity. I looked at the man sleeping in my arms, beautiful, broken, willing to die for the illusion of freedom. And I realized what I had to do. If saving him meant breaking both our hearts, so be it. Some sacrifices only look like betrayal until you understand what they cost. Subscribe if you know sometimes loving someone means making the hardest choice. Comment, love requires sacrifice if you understand that saving someone might mean pushing them away. Only selfish people who've never truly loved won't engage. Dawn broke over Seoul, painting the Han River in shades of gold and regret. Tae-hyun's arm tightened around my waist in his sleep, and I had to bite my lip to keep from sobbing. I carefully extracted myself from his embrace, dressed in silence, and did what I'd been too afraid to do before. I walked straight into the devil's office. Minho looked unsurprised when his secretary ushered me into his office at 7 a.m. He was already impeccably dressed, reviewing documents like he hadn't orchestrated his own brother's potential murder. Miss Claire, I didn't expect to see you again. Call off the job. My voice shook, but I kept my spine straight. I'll leave Korea today. Permanently. I'll never contact Tae-hyun again. Disappear completely from his life. You win. Minho set down his pen with calculated slowness. And why would I accept this deal when I can simply let the situation resolve itself naturally? Because if Taehyun dies, you lose your leverage over him forever. The words came faster now. Desperate logic I'd rehearsed all night. He's useful to you alive, controllable, capable, loyal when properly motivated. But dead? You gain nothing except one less person in your organization. And his obsession with me? It'll fade once I'm gone. Out of sight, out of mind. Something flickered in Minho's cold eyes. Respect for the strategy, maybe, or amusement at my audacity. You make a compelling argument. He stood, walked to his window overlooking Seoul. But there's one problem. Taehyun won't believe you left willingly. He'll search for you, convinced something happened. His obsession, as you call it, runs deeper than simple separation can cure. My heart sank because I knew he was right. Unless, Minho continued, turning to face me with a predator's smile, you break his heart so thoroughly that he won't want to follow. Tell him it was just a fling, that he was an exotic fantasy, nothing more. Make him believe you never loved him. The request hit like a physical blow. You want me to destroy him. I want you to save him. Minho's voice carried no emotion. A broken heart heals. Death doesn't. You're offering to sacrifice yourself. I'm simply ensuring the sacrifice is complete enough to be effective. Tears burned my eyes, but I forced them back. And you'll call off the job? He lives. He lives. Minho extended his hand. Do we have a deal, Miss Claire? I thought of Taehyun's smile, the way he whispered my name, the phoenix tattoo that symbolized his desperate hope for rebirth. I thought of the woman who'd disappeared years ago, eliminated for threatening Minho's control. Some prices are too high, but some lives are worth any cost. Deal. Taehyun found me at my hotel 2 hours later, frantic and disheveled. He'd woken to find me gone, and the fear in his eyes nearly broke my resolve. Nancy, thank God. I thought. He reached for me, but I stepped back. We need to talk. Something in my tone made him freeze. What's wrong? I'd rehearsed this moment, prepared the cruelest words I could find. But looking at him now, this beautiful, broken man who'd risked everything for fantasy, I nearly couldn't do it. Then I remembered the life insurance papers, the suicide mission disguised as opportunity, Minho's cold calculation. This was a mistake, I said, forcing ice into my voice. All of it. What are you talking about? You were an exotic fantasy, Taehyun, a beautiful distraction in a foreign city. Each word felt like swallowing glass. Did you really think I'd give up my entire life for someone I barely know? The color drained from his face. You don't mean that. Don't I? I crossed my arms, building walls between us with every syllable. You're intense, I'll give you that. The whole tortured soul thing was intriguing for a while. But your obsession isn't love, it's desperation. And I won't be your cage or your salvation. Nancy, stop. His voice cracked. You're lying. I know you're lying. Am I? Look at yourself. I gestured at his disheveled appearance, the desperation in his eyes. You've known me for 2 weeks, and you're ready to die for me. That's not love. That's addiction. You're using me as an excuse to rebel against your brother, and I refuse to be responsible for whatever self-destructive thing you do next. Tell me you're lying. He stepped closer, and I saw tears gathering in his eyes. Look me in the eye and tell me you felt nothing. This was the moment, the killing blow. I met his gaze and forced every ounce of coldness I could muster into my expression. I felt a great night. That's all you ever were. All you'll ever be. The life drained from his eyes like someone had extinguished a flame. His hands dropped to his sides, and for a moment he just stood there, a man who'd gambled everything and lost. I see. His voice was hollow, empty. I understand. He turned and walked out, and I had to physically hold myself back from running after him, from confessing everything, from choosing his love over his life. The door closed. The job would be called off. He would live. And I collapsed against the wall, sobbing so hard I thought my ribs would crack. 6 months later, London felt smaller than I remembered. My career had exploded. International contracts, magazine features, everything I'd worked for finally materializing. But every success tasted like ash. Kate worried. My mother asked why I looked so tired. I threw myself into work, dated men who didn't make my heart race, and pretended soul was just a memory. The package arrived on a Thursday. Expensive wrapping, Korean postage, no return address. Inside, nestled in black velvet, a phoenix pendant in white gold, wings spread as if caught mid-flight. My hands trembled as I unfolded the note. Nancy, I knew what you did. Not at first. The pain was too sharp to see through. But Minho's satisfaction gave him away, and Jiwoo eventually confirmed my suspicions. You sacrificed us to save me. You were right about one thing. My obsession was unhealthy. But you were wrong about why. I wasn't addicted to you as an escape. I recognized something in you. Someone else fighting for freedom, for the right to choose their own life. You saw the real me beneath the pretty cage, and I saw the real you beneath the armor you wear. I'm not free yet, but I'm working toward it, gathering evidence, building a case, systematically dismantling my brother's empire from within. The phoenix doesn't just burn, it rises from the ashes, transformed. When I'm truly free, when I can stand before you without chains, I'm coming for you, not as an obsessed man chasing fantasy, but as someone who finally understands the difference between possession and love. Wait for me, or don't. Either way, you saved me by breaking me, and I'll spend the rest of my life grateful. The phoenix rises, Taehyun. I press the pendant to my chest and let myself cry for what we lost, for what we might still find, for the impossible hope blooming in my chest despite everything. 3 weeks later, London Heathrow Airport, early morning. I was heading to Paris Fashion Week, running on coffee and determination, when I felt it, that electric awareness that raised every hair on my body. Across the terminal, a figure in a patterned silk shirt. Same build, same way of standing like he owned the space around him. It couldn't be. My heart hammered as I moved closer, weaving through travelers, my carry-on forgotten. The man turned slightly, and I caught his profile. Sharp jawline, perfectly styled dark hair, an intensity that seemed to pull all light toward him. He felt me watching, turned. Our eyes met across the crowded terminal, and the world narrowed to just us, like that first night in Eclipse, like every moment between that's haunted my dreams. Taehyun's lips curved into a smile that was different from before, steadier, more certain, carrying the weight of transformation rather than desperate escape. He raised his hand slightly. A question, a promise, a beginning. Some obsessions don't fade. They transform. They burn away everything false until only truth remains. And as I moved toward him through the crowd, Phoenix pendant warm against my skin, I realized something profound. I'd been waiting for him too. Not for the broken man chasing fantasy, but for this, someone who'd walked through fire and emerged forged into something new. Someone who'd learned the difference between possession and freedom, between obsession and love. The distance between us closed. "Hello, Nancy," he said softly. And this time when I said hello back, it felt like the beginning of something real. Subscribe to Ebony and Pearl Stories if you believe people can change and grow into who they're meant to be. Comment freedom over control. If you stand against people like Minho who manipulate and cage the ones they claim to love, only people who think control equals love won't engage. And that says everything about them.